Sorry, it's a busy day for me, but I hope that it's also a busy and successful day for you, discussing all these important issues and preparing project proposal, as I heard, or at least on ideas and campaigns in the near future. Urban mobility from the past and from the future. This is the general topic, but I'm going to talk about the green spaces in Sofia, the gardens, the parks, and all the areas between the residential buildings and apartments, which are nowadays threatened to be overconstructed. It's one of the general issues for many people that are working on local level, on municipal level, and it is still generating very big, huge attention to the society as well, probably as they are also inhabitants of the same areas, so it's directly reflecting to themselves. I can share with you several issues regarding management of the green spaces in urban areas in Bulgaria. I'm mainly familiar with Sofia, with the capital city, but I'm also involved in many cases in different parts of the countryside, and I've been kind of mediating the processes sometimes between the local authorities and the civil society in order to achieve a balance, or in order to protect these areas. I can divide the problems in two aspects. One of them is the management by the local authorities, as they are not respecting the rule of law many times, pretty often I can say, and there is this logging inside the cities. The last example is 2 days ago in the second biggest city in Bulgaria, Plovdiv, where they cut so many trees, like century-old trees, in the center of the city on Ruski Boulevard. It is disaster. And I've been involved in such cases also in Silistra and other cities. Sometimes it's just because there is a European project for reconstruction, and it's about benefit for some local companies to cut these trees and to sell to the municipality due to the European finance, to sell some new trees, but it needs a century to regrow these areas. And pretty often it's about this. And I remember that in Silistra, for example, the central boulevard, with all these centuries-old trees, we managed to get in this mediation. Unfortunately, it has to be a call by the Prime Minister in order to do something with this, which is a top-down approach, which I don't like. But honestly, sometimes this is the only one approach in Bulgaria. The civil society there was fighting. They organized a campaign for half a year, and it was well known even on national level. But the local authorities were, like blind for this, and they've been trying to keep forward with the project. And then there was this mediation. I talked with the Prime Minister. He made a statement, and then we get to the details. We organized a group of experts to make an observation of the area, to investigate are those trees are healthy or not. Finally, the report by all the experts, including me, was that these trees are not just healthy, but they are very integrated to the system. It's related also to the weather conditions, the microclimate in the area, and there are plenty of alternatives which not include logging, cutting the trees. I remember that Radost from the Veo Society also support us with a statement and professional report how this project could be reorganized in order to provide also spaces for cycle roads and etc.
Can I add something?
Yep, please.
The project there stated that they should cut the trees in order to open a space for a bicycle lane, which was totally unnecessary in that case.
Yeah, but we managed them to have this expertise, and also by the civil society, which sometimes has even greater expertise than the public authorities. And we managed to stop this ridiculous idea and to transform the project in a way that preventing the cutting and organizing the project in another way. So this is just an example which is showing first that local authorities sometimes are just moving without really expertise behind the issue, and with, I can say, possible corruption schemes to be involved in these projects. As we know, the money from the European Union has this high value. And this is just an example also that sometimes we need a push by the top down, from the national level to the local level, and from the highest heads of the authorities to the local heads of the authorities. And another, let's say, kind of issues in Bulgaria is about the parks. In the past, they've been formed with a planning, very good planning, especially for Sofia, for example. I'm not sure if you already discussed that. But Musman Puan, which is an architect in 40s or 50s?
30s.
30s, even 30s. In the
34 and 38.
Yep, in the 20th century. And which has all this urban, multi-sectoral approach, how the mountain, the Vituša mountain, is connected through green layers or
roads.
Roads or something, green roads, to even went to the center of the city, and people that have been living in Sofia half a century ago, they even remembered that wild species that they could see in the center of Sofia, which is, let's say, a reality in Germany, where you can see wild animals in the city parks, but not a reality anymore in Sofia.
Yeah,
and
only the birds.
Only the birds.
Wild birds, because they
they can fly. Yes, and these parks sometimes they got part of the private properties, which years later, when there was a process of reversing the properties. Sometimes these parts of the park remain not to the public authorities but to the private sector. And of course, not always the real ownership was there, but with some documents, even we had a period of time where you need only 3 evidences, like people to say that this property is owned by this guy parents, and it's yours. So due to this kind of bureaucracy and administrative procedures, many areas became private land and owned by different companies, which in the next years start to be constructed. We had these kind of examples in Sofia, many of them. It's still a process, which, I mean, it's not finished even. There are appetites for many other places. And the green spaces really decrease as percentages of the area. And even nowadays, and tomorrow we had a press conference on these kind of issues, there is a threat also to the areas which are between the residential buildings, apartments buildings. And it is a huge threat to overconstruct the neighborhoods, which reflect to problems with public transportation and the traffic in general, with the air quality, as we have very serious issues with the air quality. Bulgaria has, and Sofia is with the lowest level of, the highest level of bad air quality in European Union. And this kind of development and construction and cutting these green areas, in fact, reflecting to the problems inside the cities, and which reflect all the citizens, because all of us are breathing air and all of us are moving from one point to another. And what else to say? Maybe another example, which, let's say, is a way of maybe finding solutions, as it is directly clash between the public interests and some private interests. Another city is Stara Zagora, which is in the center of Bulgaria. They had this issue with one of the parks there called Bedechka. And this park been planned to be developed as a neighborhood with residential buildings from a very green forest and the park zone. And local citizens, they organized in an initiative committee, and they've been campaigning for years. And on a certain point, there was no other solution than organizing a local referendum. So last year or the year before, they organized a local referendum in Stara Zagora, which reflect higher awareness on national level, but also on local level. And even though that they did not manage to reach the threshold for the referendum, the majority of the people that they've been voting, they vote to protect this area, to remain it as a green space, as a park. But the problem was with the quorum, with the threshold of the participation quorum. But even they did not reach, they've been close to the quorum, but they did not reach the quorum, as it is related in Bulgarian legislation. The participation quorum is related to the participation quorum of the last local elections. And you can see that on local elections, usually people are more interested to vote than for a park which is like 5 kilometers from them, and they're not really interested on. But still, due to this referendum, and the local authority and the mayor had to reflect on this, so they managed, again with relation with the national authorities, and organized some changes, some other spaces near the city, which was state-owned, been changed to parts of this park, so then this park could be protected and just for a park. So it is just another example that you can see such kind of issues are important especially for the local communities, and it has to be integrated in a general plan where all the sectoral issues are related and cross. Sorry for my English. So, what is coming in the near future? Because we had this kind of issues in other big cities, in Varna for the sea garden, in Plovdiv for the garden next to the lake, the rolling channel. not rolling, but sailing channel or how? Rowing. Okay. Yep. And also in Sofia, we had this kind of issues in Sofia. So in the near future, I think the only way is to have more organized networks of active citizens initiatives together with NGOs and professional groups which are experts in this sphere in order to provide a general plan of development of the area, the urban spaces. And let's say it's not an ideological political issues as they're trying to put us in the perspective that this is market economy, and due to the market economy everyone has its own rights to do whatever with his land, which is right if this is not in conflict with the public interest in this area. And the opposite way, that they're trying to put us in this opposite way due to the totalitarian period of time where only the public authorities could manage the spaces. So we need something which is far away from both ideological perspectives, but in a way that engage most of the stakeholders. Of course, all of the stakeholders will be fine, but will be perfect, but at least most of the stakeholders with an open dialogue and with professional expertise to show how it could happen. And for cities like Sofia, as it is a unique example, all the other cities in Bulgaria are decreasing as a population, but Sofia is increasing the population. So for examples like Sofia, we need to enlarge the area of the capital city if there are more people that are coming to live here, but not to overconstruct the existed perimeter of the city. So this is more general approach, and I hope that Ivan Velkov will share more from this perspective how this is possible, as it is really possible. And Sofia is surrounded by mountains, but there are a lot of spaces next to the capital which could be enlarged and also organized in a agglomeration, like with a better transportation, like it is in Germany, the S-Bahn, this kind of transportation, how you can live outside the city and work inside the city, not in confronting the spaces of the existing neighborhoods. So this is one of the second general approach, just to look through the mobility, the sustainable mobility, how we could integrate the surrounding villages and cities and towns in a more broader urban area, let's say, as a agglomeration. So this is the second approach that I'd like to share, and we had this kind of approach as I was a candidate for this region. We managed to organize a professional approach and expertise how this could be done with 3 lines, which in fact all of them are going through the center of the city and through some of the metro line stops where people could easily had a connection railway, connection metro line or connection bus lines, and etc. But this is the only way how we are living in a space which is not over-constructed, which protect the green areas and the trees, as it is very important for our air quality, for our even the noise, and other aspects which are not really still recognized by the public authorities as an important in this multi-sectoral approach and integrated approach. And maybe another one which is really also important is how we are providing good alternatives to the people with properties, as we don't like some people to struggle because during the totalitarian period of time, the public authority just stole their land and never give it back. So we tried to found a way how they could change these areas, or how could they could benefit from this area, even it is a park, even it is a protected green area. And there are plenty of options, in fact, with a public-private partnership. It's one of the options. With these changed lands, where we can organize through the urban plan, the general urban plan, we could organize lands and areas next to the city for new neighborhoods, where people could get land there and just their fathers or grandfathers' heritage could remain as a public land inside the capital city. And that's in general from my side. Maybe if you have some questions, unfortunately I cannot stay with you much longer, as I have many other issues and also a very busy day, as I said. There are some issues which happened today.
So,
Any questions?
Yeah, I think especially the project with the commuters is very interesting for our topic, and we've just discussed in our group that there are not many intermodal solutions here in Sofia.
Not implemented,
if
yes.
you arrive at a metro station, you have to reflect how can I get to my office, and I think there is a big space for more development, for service providers who offer bikes at metro stations, for example, and there are some really good projects in Germany. Of course, it's also a problem to facilitate public transport, to facilitate access to, also prices. But I think that's a point where you can combine sustainable development with digital tools to improve.
Yeah, definitely. I totally agree with you. I totally agree with you. And also maybe just to mention, as it is another approach which is not at all investigated how it could be implemented, it's for a decentralization of some of the public authorities. Because at this moment, for a very simple document, you need to travel to the center. And it could be very easy to have it in your own neighborhood, a small office, which provide access to different kind of authorities. And of course, the digitalization could also be part of this solution. But we need, to a certain point, decentralization approaches as well, in order to prevent this transportation from the center to the neighborhoods and from the neighborhoods to the center. This is in the cultural perspective, in the administrative, and some other perspectives. Have some other comments or questions?
and what is your opinion, Bobby? What is the maybe first useful steps in these issues?
Networking. Networking is maybe the first step, and it could be hand by hand with positive examples. As I found that this is very spiritual for different groups of local citizens to first organize themselves in a network, to identify the different stakeholders and how the procedure is working. But this is easily happened when you have a good example from the next city, or even from abroad, from other countries. This is really empowering the people, giving them motivation that it is possible and it could be done in this and this way. Of course, it has to be adapted to the local situation, as it is unique. Everywhere is unique. But these are the first steps: networking and sharing, example sharing. And as the next steps, the dialogue between the public authorities with the civil society and how it could be mediated. I mean, the mediation is really important. We need somebody in between who is not getting a role of decision maker, but is getting a role to put the link between the different stakeholders and also to observe and to be a guarantee that it is a transparent process and it is a fair process. Let's say nobody's just kicked out or isolated in a way. And of course, we have to reclaim somehow the public spaces in the cities. Reclaim, I can say, of course, in a non-violent way, and but still, people has to think more about their own local environment, their own surrounding spaces, and maybe providing more information how this reflect their own health or the way of transportation and their peace and everything like this. Could also empower the people to get a more active role in this.
But I think it could also be a good strategy to convince responsible persons on a political level, because sometimes we discussed a lot about possibilities to build up a common goal or a common vision for the development of Sofia. And I think it's very difficult to go through all the levels, but if you have key persons, key actors who are convinced of this vision, it can be very helpful.
Definitely, I agree. I'm just thinking about this kind of people. As I said, it is a busy day. I'll just share with you. 2 years ago, there was this problem with the green areas in one of the biggest neighborhoods, districts in Sofia, Mladost. And people organized themselves in an initiative committee for Green Mladost. And then there was extraordinary process of even electing the chair of this initiative committee as a local mayor, and she was arrested today. So that's why I'm saying it's kind of busy day, and we had a press conference tomorrow morning with her about the green spaces in Sofia. So and it was a publicly arrested, like with cameras and everything like this. So for me, it's just the way how the public authority and the people with power and money are trying to put pressure. On the other side.
That's the coffee.
Yeah, it's happened 2 hours ago. Ivancheva, I was arrested. Yeah. And yeah.
What's the reason? I mean,
We'll see.
They still don't know.
Okay, maybe we can.
The only thing that I know is maybe she's not going to attend the press conference tomorrow morning.
Exercise of pressure.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I'm done. And I'm moving forward for the next steps. I'll be happy to support in a lot of other ways the ideas that you developed here and the network. I could volunteer as one of those political stakeholders in order to support this general approach for sustainable mobility and sustainable cities.
Before you go, I have an announcement that our networking here in Sofia is only the first step of a very larger process. There will be next steps soon. We will be next event in Sofia in the autumn, I suppose. But when Radosveta comes, she will announce this at the end of the conference. But because some of you are going to leave, I'm making this announcement about our idea is not only to realize some project and some money that are taken already. The idea is that our networking together in Bulgaria and with this international connection, and with this connection the professionalists, the scientists, and the civil society, and I hope with the authorities, it would be fruitful in the future.
Yeah. I'm sure Ivan will confirm
And
he's willing to support this, but unfortunately he's not representing the whole municipal council. But still, he has a role there. And
one bird doesn't mean spring, but maybe the next after the next election there was 3 birds.
yeah,
Or 4 birds.
even more, even more. Okay, so thank you for your attention,
Thanks to you.
and I hope we'll see each other soon, and with more positive examples, let's say.
Okay, so we go ahead. We are back on the presentations of the work of the groups. So 3 minutes for every group. I will ask Jerry to be the timekeeper for that exercise, please, Jerry, because I would have some other things to do during that time.
May I just ask you to